Well, as you know by now from the last video, that the sheep wagon has gone home to the museum in Columbus, which is 20 miles west of here. And so that opens up a little spot here in my shop, and I need to do some juggling with vehicles. I'm still trying to figure out this manure spreader. Some of you have sent other pictures that show with more clarity what that side sign was. So I'm recontemplating that. But with this space that I have, I need to juggle some things, and this brings to the surface a past project. Many of you who have stopped through the summer, we have taken to the back room here in the shop and shown you the body of the mud wagon. Remember, we built that in the winter of 22-23. By June of 23, I was done with the body. I have mentioned before that we have already rebuilt the running gear or the undercarriage. This actually came back, in 2012, 13. I'm not really sure if I remember that correctly. But in April of 2014 into October of 2014, the project of the borax wagons and the possibility of rebuilding those began to come to the forefront. So in that time frame, I was already in the middle of rebuilding this undercarriage for this mud wagon. Well, I knew I needed to get it done and set aside because of this upcoming borax wagon project. So I finished it, and I did set it aside in another storage shed. And I conveyed with the owner that this was a situation that we were in, and sorry, you're going to have to be on the back burner for a little bit. We'll get to it later. Well, the later showed up in the fall, winter of 2022, and I brought the body in to begin that restoration project. And you probably remember the condition of this body when it first came in. I didn't have a forklift at the time, and it just came in with a pile of pieces, and that shouldn't surprise anybody anymore. That's kind of what I am given to start with, and this was no different. It was a pile with a pallet full of hardware and parts and old junk wood, and that was what I was given to work with. Please put this back together again. Well, many of you noticed the signature of Frank Matsura on some of these old photographs, and you began to send me a lot of photographs. And it was through that process that I was actually able to reconstruct this body. Well, for the most part, the undercarriage was intact. The wheels weren't, but I had the reaches and the reach caps and all that was there, and the ironwork was complete. But you can see that it was in the same state of disrepair and decay as the rest of the body was, but maybe the body was a little bit worse. There wasn't a whole lot left to work with. Well, to get this to where I could make it mobile to get into the shop, I first took the wheels and rebuilt those, rebuilt the hubs, new spokes, new fellies, and initially my understanding was that we were to put this back to where it was original. It had steel tires on it, so that was what I did initially. I put steel tires back on these wheels. And that allowed me to get it into the shop where I could begin rebuilding the rest of the undercarriage. And it was a complete rebuild as far as the wood goes. All the iron is still original, which was nice. I had a couple little missing parts, but easy enough to duplicate those. So later we visited about this undercarriage with the owner, and he expressed his desire that he would rather have rubber tires instead of steel tires. So I had to back up and redo that, and so I changed it all over to where these now have rubber tires. And I put it in the paint room and gave it a good coat of primer to where it could be sealed up. And this was in probably early 2015 when this undercarriage went into storage, because it was February of 2016 that I began building the borax wagons. So several years went by and nothing was brought up about this mud wagon, and it just kind of sat on the back burner. Well, I got some emails and said, I think we would like to get this thing finished, so I brought it back in again that fall or winter of 2022 and finished it in June of 2023. As a habit, I generally will do a restoration in phases. We did the undercarriage and we submitted the bill where we're at, and we kind of leveled the playing field there. So when I brought in the body to rebuild it, we took the same format. I would get the thing rebuilt, and then we would level the playing field and decide where we're going to go at that point, and kind of do this in stages so we keep things kind of squared up. So now that I have a little bit of space to jockey with here, the undercarriage is in storage. The body is still sitting in the back of my shop where I set tires. And I would like to combine the two. I'd like to put the body on the undercarriage, combine some space, and if I continue not to hear anything about their desire, what they want to do, I'm going to put this into storage until we see what happens. Well, wagons like the sheep wagon that we just finished, or the chuck wagon that we built previously, or grain box wagons, have no suspension to them. They're called a dead axle wagon. There's no give and take between the body and the undercarriage. Now, most of your delivery wagons, your drays, your hitch wagons, your buggies, that type of vehicle have some type of a spring suspension underneath them. But on a stagecoach, they are uniquely different, and they have what they call a thorough brace. And they are these leather straps that go from the front axle to the back axle. And what's left of this one here is pretty old, dry, and hard. But you can see where this went over the axle, and then this goes to a clevis that is attached to the front, what we'd call the reach cap. And these are adjustable rods that you can adjust the tension on these. Well, this one here is 5 layers thick. Now, typically on an Abbott Downing Stagecoach, Yellowstone Park coach, these would be 7 layers thick. But this one is 5, and it seems to be riveted instead of stitched. But this is typically what the stagecoach body would sit on. And in fact, what it does, it allows it not so much an up and down suspension, but it allows it to have a rocking action similar to what a boat would be on the water. It can go a little bit side to side, not much, but mainly it is front to back. Well, typically these are built out of harness leather, and it takes quite a bit of leather to cut this much length in straps and put it all together. So this is one of those fulcrum points that the body's built, the undercarriage is built. Now we need to decide what are we going to do for finish. We're going to pay for the expenses of the leather work and upholstery and all that. This is why I chose this time as kind of a pause time to let's balance the scale, and then we'll decide where you want to go. So in lieu of that, to get this body back on the undercarriage, I'm just going to take some ratchet straps. They're rated at 3,300 pounds a piece. I can put one on each side, and this body will set on those ratchet straps and make it mobile for the time being. So you'll remember when I built this body that there is a curved footboard that goes on the front, and that's where the feet of the drivers will sit. Well, I've got that just setting inside the body here. And then on the back, there is a platform that they could put luggage or their mail or whatever, and I have that sitting on the floorboard as well. Try to kind of keep it compact. This sets just shy of 9.5 feet tall, so it's pretty high. And when I put the leather throw braces on here, it'll actually raise it up probably another 3 inches. At the position it is now, it's basically sitting on the bottom of that stack of throw braces just because I have these ratchet straps on. When I build that up with then to be 10 layers thick, it'll set probably another 2.5, 3 inches taller. But roughly this is how it's going to set, and you can see how it has kind of that rocking action, more like a boat would be. So I really don't know what the final chapter is going to be on this. We'll see. But I'm going to put it into a cold storage shed for this winter, and we'll wait and see. I've got another light wagon that I started right after the Rose Parade with those borax wagons, and it was the Piedmont wagon. Remember Piedmont, North Carolina, where that wagon was built? I have it all rebuilt. I have the primer on it. It just needs to have the finished coat of sanding and finish painted. I may bring that in as well now that I can get to my back room. This kind of had me plugged up for a bit, and I'll continue picking away at this manure spreader, doing the lettering, even though I might have to revamp my last style. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, the saga continues. Appreciate you following along. Thanks for watching.